Every collection has to start somewhere. Somewhere? Every collection has to begin at step one. And that is especially true when you're talking about a brand new console launch. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Square Pegs. I'm Jay. Today we're talking about the Switch 2, specifically the first 20 games that I have added to my collection for the console. Now, there's a lot more physical releases out there than 20, but I'm kind of slow rolling stuff. If you guys have seen some of my previous videos about collecting, I tend to not just kind of go balls to the wall and buy everything I can. I try to be selective about it, which is why there's only like 15 games in my PS5 collection right now. But for Switch 2, we're at 20, and I want to share those games with you, and we're just going to run through them alphabetically, talk about each one, pros and cons of each game, what I think about them, and honestly, I will tell you a little bit of spoilers. I like pretty much every game on this list. There's some that I'm a little bit on the fence on, and some that haven't quite clicked with me the way I thought they were going to, but none of them are bad by any stretch of the imagination. There's just certain things that I like more on other games than these ones. So I'm going to start things off with the first game on the list, and it is the Nintendo Switch 2 edition of Animal Crossing New Horizons. Now, Animal Crossing New Horizons is, if you are unfamiliar with the concept of what Animal Crossing is, it is a social simulation game where you are basically a character that moves to a new location. You are kind of brought into indentured servitude for a raccoon overlord that makes you pay his particular brand of money back to get the things kind of handled that way. And it's weird because you're a human character in a world full of animals, and they all speak English, but they all sort of also speak Simlish. It's weird. But it's being overly simplistic and overly kind of dismissive of what the game is, because Animal Crossing is absolutely brilliant. It is a social simulation game. You are building a society from scratch. You are responsible for taking this deserted island and turning it into a thriving metropolis. And I think that's pretty incredible, because you get there not through conflict resolution or anything like that. It's just through exploration and making friends and achieving tasks. It's a really refreshing game. You know, that with so many games out there, it's easy to, and we'll get to some of those. There's so many games out there that are like aggressively violent and aggressively misogynistic, and there's things that are done in games that are uncomfortable to see. Like I've said repeatedly, I'm not a big fan of the Grand Theft Auto games for precisely the reasons I'm listing here. And the antithesis of that is Animal Crossing, right? Like there's nothing like that happening in there. I mean, other than your indentured servitude to Thomas W. Nook. It's something, though, that I just really enjoy. And the Switch 2 version, I mean, it doesn't give you a whole lot more than what the original Switch release did, but this is something where we're starting something for the convention we're putting on. We're starting an island to share with people that are going to be attending the convention we're putting on, the Michigan Retro Game Expo, August 29th, 2026 here in Kazoo. Link will be on screen right now, mrgexpo.com. Tickets are available now. Would love to see you there. It's something where we're creating this island, and we're kind of making this thing for people to visit and kind of celebrate the show, and I think that's pretty cool. It was fun to get. It was fun to jump back into Animal Crossing. I played it very heavily during the pandemic, and I got very burnt out on it. And I guess I needed a kind of 6-year span between when I last played it to play it now for it to be interesting to me again. And it's nice to pick it back up. It's really fun. Remember those hyper-violent games I was just talking about with Animal Crossing? Well, we have one now. And this is the, much like their release on the original Switch with The Witcher 3 right here, and is a fantastic edition of the game. Is it as pretty as the other ones? No, but there's a lot of really cool feelies in there. I really like that it's everything on one cartridge. CD Projekt Red, they're wizards. They do amazing stuff. And while I don't typically go for hyper-violent games, there's something about their work that is just really intriguing to me. And as someone that used to play the pen and paper version of this game, Cyberpunk was a must purchase for me. And this was something I picked up on launch day. I am really, really, really impressed with what they were able to do on this game. It wasn't something that made sacrifices for the sake of making sacrifices, which is incredibly easy to do on Nintendo hardware. You tend to scale back just to get your game on there. And I don't think they made any concessions whatsoever. It is brilliant in every conceivable way that I have seen. It is absolutely phenomenal. The game is aggressive and entertaining and ridiculous and just the best kind of insane that you can possibly imagine. The violence is heightened and crazy, but it's also really enjoyable. Like, it's something that it doesn't revel in kind of the cartoonish overall, like the ridiculous cartoonish violence of something like a Grand Theft Auto, it really feels like the world is lived in. It feels like something that, while obviously we don't live in a cyberpunk dystopia like this one is, it feels like a world that was like firmly set up with the rules that were set up from the pen and paper version of the game. And I love that they took that and ran with it. It's honestly, it feels a little bit like Baldur's Gate 3 in that regard, which was something that also took what was set up from the Forgotten Realms series and just the kind of the world of Dungeons and Dragons and made something its own while still being within those boundaries. And Cyberpunk very much feels the same way. And it's a fantastic version of the game. It's something that I've had an absolute blast playing, and I love being able to take it portably because you don't lose anything jumping from the TV to the handheld version of the game. It's just magnificent. Next up, one that I thought I was going to love, and when I initially got it, I really expected this to be my game of the year because I was just absolutely blown away with what Nintendo accomplished with this game. But the more I played it, the more my interest waned, and it's something that if you watched my countdown for Game of the Year last year, you saw how far down the list it was, and that is Donkey Kong Bonanza, which, again, really solid title. From a technological standpoint, I don't think Nintendo can be topped with this game because they do so much. The destructible environments are amazing. It's just something where the unfortunate side effect of putting so much into those destructible environments is the fact that the game is basically just destructible environments, the simulator, and that loses its luster after a little while. It was something I haven't gone back and beaten it. I lost interest in it after a while, and I just haven't really felt inspired to go back. I didn't feel the desire to pick up the DLC or anything like that for it. It was kind of like, oh, I just got burnt out. And it was something where it just kept being the same thing over and over and over and over again. And I couldn't make myself search for fossils and kind of find all these different aspects, these hundreds of different hidden things in each level. It was just like, I was like, man, I don't feel the same heart and soul that something like a Super Mario Odyssey had, where I was ecstatic to go back and get all the moons and 100% that game. This is one where I was just like, I'm going to put it on the shelf for a while, and when I feel the need to go back, I will, but that hasn't struck me yet, and that sucks. And I think it was self-inflicted. Like, if it's something that I had kind of paced a little bit more and split it up with other games I was playing at the time, I probably would still be playing it and enjoying it, but I really overdid it with it, kind of like what I did with the original Animal Crossing during the pandemic. It was something where it was legit the only thing I played for about 2 months, and I was just done with it by the end. And I will go back one day, but today is not that day. So one of my favorite things, and this is going to be something where I need to make a comment on stuff that's in this collection, because I know a lot of people really hate game key cards. I'm not one of them because I also buy stuff for the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X, and I bought stuff for the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One, and I know that's just how the industry works and where the industry is going. It is what it is. It sucks. And yes, that is defeatist. Yes, that is me just being like, oh, well, it's not going to get any better. It's not, folks. It's not going to get any better. No matter how much we stomp our feet and get angry about it, game key cards are always going to be a thing. So I have game key cards. I don't mind having game key cards. If you don't like them, I don't really care. Sorry. First up for the game key cards. And I will say, though, with this one being a game key card, a little bit curious that it is because it is not a very large game. Dragon Quest 1 and 2 HD 2D. I have Dragon Quest 3 as well. I have that on the original Switch. Yeah, so I have Dragon Quest 3 HD 2D on the original Switch as well. So when this one got announced, I knew I was going to pick it up. Because I'm a huge fan of the Dragon Quest franchise. There's another Dragon Quest game on this list coming up here in just a minute. So I knew I had to have this one, and I wasn't like distraught by the fact that it was a game key card. Like I said, it's a little bit curious that it was because it's such a small game. It could have fit, but I also understand that that's extra money, and publishers are always looking to save money. That's just the way the industry works. It has been since I was in the industry almost 20 years ago. It's how it is going to be continuing to go forward. It's just the way the world moves. This is a really cool game, though. It's a really great collection. You get Dragon Quest 1 and 2. They are the HD 2D remakes, so they look absolutely stunning. And it's something that I love that Square is doing this, because the HD 2D stuff that they've put out so far, whether it's original stuff like the Octopath Traveler series or the remakes like Dragon Quest 1 and 2 here, they're just a feast for the eyes. And as someone who loves pixel art and thinks it is an art form that is beyond underrepresented in the world. It's something that I think Square does really well to display exactly how beautiful pixel art can be, especially in a modern environment. Like, I get that we've moved away from it because modern TVs don't have scan lines or CRT, like CRT cells on them, which, if you look at them, you'll see it on a screen. I'm probably using the wrong terminology, but it's something where it doesn't look as good on a flat panel as it does on a CRT, because CRTs are designed in order to blend some of those pixels together to make them look smoother. And it looks jaggy on modern displays, but these are gorgeous and absolutely, just like I said, an absolute feast for the eyes. Now, one I've never played before, and it's a shame because I have it on the 3DS, and it's just something I just haven't devoted the time to on the 3DS, and I was excited when they announced this one for the Switch 2 because I really want to play it. I've heard it's a fantastic game, and I'll be honest with you, so far, really, really enjoying it, and I'm very curious to see where the storyline's going because I know nothing about it. This is Dragon Quest VII Reimagined. I'm just really pumped for this one. I have played the start of the game and started the game over numerous times on the 3DS because I'll start it up and not be sure where I need to go. And it was one of those things like very similar to The Witcher 3 on PlayStation 4. It was something I started up probably 9 or 10 times and just never felt the compulsion to keep going. So I was shocked when I got it on the original Switch and kept going with The Witcher, and that was how I got hooked on the franchise. And that's how I'm getting hooked on this game as well, as on the Switch 2. And that's odd because the 3DS is like my favorite thing Nintendo's ever done. So I would expect to want to keep playing it there, and I probably will go back and play it there now. But really enjoying it so far. I can't say a ton about it because I haven't beaten it yet. I just got it a couple of weeks ago. But the storyline so far has been really fun. The characters are memorable. The gameplay is great. I love the look of it. Everyone kind of looks like something from Team America, which is really funny to me. And it just works. It's a really solid title. It's really fun. Oh, this one's good. All right, another game key card, another one from Square Enix. And this is one where, yeah, it is. It's absolutely a game key card because there was no other way to make it work. There's no possible way to make this fit on an available cartridge right now for the Switch 2 because I think they only go up to 64 gigs and this is over 90 gigs. So this is Final Fantasy VII Remake. I am just Remake Integrated, I should say. This is something I'm so thankful exists. So a little bit of a backstory about Jay. Not a Final Fantasy VII fan in the slightest. Never liked it. Played it, but was deeply let down by it after I was playing Final Fantasy III, which is my all-time favorite Final Fantasy, or Final Fantasy VI in Japan. And to be so excited to play Final Fantasy VII and to get the game and just be completely let down by the characters in it, with the exception of like Sid, Vincent, Yuffie, and Tifa. I just didn't care for the characters in Final Fantasy VII. I didn't care for the world. I didn't enjoy a lot of it. And I thought it was dog balls ugly. I thought it was an absolutely hideous game to look at. Like, even for when it released, I thought it was hideous. It looked like a really shitty version of something like Battle Arena Toshinden, like early Battle Arena Toshinden games, which were extra blocky and just gross to behold. And I felt that way about Final Fantasy VII as well. Backgrounds were beautiful. Character models were dog shit. So I was not excited for this by any stretch of the imagination when it got announced. I played Final Fantasy VII Remake briefly on the PlayStation 4, and I was like, okay, this is actually pretty good. I really like the combat, but I hadn't played it far enough to actually really be into it, and I hadn't played it far enough to really see if they gave Cloud a personality. And I'm so happy that the character of Cloud Strife is so much more interesting in the remake because he has lines of dialogue, he has a personality, he has like an actually compelling backstory that he explains and isn't just kind of crapped out on screen, I guess, for lack of a better term. I'm really anti Final Fantasy VII, guys. I'm sorry. I know there's a ton of fans out there, and I take nothing away from you guys for loving it, but it just was not a game for me. This one, however, is. I love the combat, I love the look, I love everything about this title so far, and I cannot wait for the next two to release as well, because just want to see where the story goes. I've pumped a ton of hours into this, and I love it so far. I can't wait for more. Next up, and you knew this was going to be on the list, I love the original. Was one of my absolute favorite Switch games, and one that I think is a must-own for anyone that owns a Nintendo Switch, is the original in this franchise. And I think this is a must-own for Switch 2 owners as well, and that is Hades 2. The story of Melanoy is not as compelling as Zagreus' story from the first Hades, but at least to me, I know for a lot of folks they really love it, but for me, I think she's just a little bit too milquetoast. Zag was a little bit more combative, and Melanoy is just kind of happy to go along with things, and that, I don't know, I don't think it serves her character very well, and that kind of sucks, but the gameplay is incredible. The look of the game is fantastic. It plays like an absolute dream on the Switch, both on TV and in a handheld mode. The different Olympian pantheon being represented is wonderful. The levels and the level designs and the storyline that happens kind of behind the scenes, despite the shortcomings of Melanoy as a character, is fascinating and really interesting to take part in. So it's something that I am really, really happy I own and have had an absolute wonderful time playing. Like, I knocked it down because it wasn't as good as the original, the original Hades, because I think that is like just kind of lightning in a bottle. I don't think you're ever going to equal that if you're Supergiant, but for them to get as close as they did with Hades 2 is really a testament to how incredible of a development house they are. All right, one I haven't spent a bunch of time with. I just picked this up a couple of weeks ago, and it was one that I wasn't really going to pick up until I bought the upgrade pack for Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, because it was something where, as much as I love the other two games in this series, it wasn't something I really felt like rushing out and picking up. But I saw it on sale on Amazon, so I decided to try and grab it, and that is Hyrule Warriors: Age of Imprisonment. And there's some really interesting changes in this game from typical Warriors games. Yes, you're fighting waves upon waves of enemies like you do in every Warriors title, and that's great. It's a lot of fun, but there's some serious backstory being set up here, which I think is really compelling and really interesting. And I was really surprised by that. And I know I had heard people say that it was something that really impacted the overall storyline of what Zelda, Breath of the Wild, and Tears of the Kingdom are, but I didn't expect it to be something that gave me this much backstory into what was happening after events in Tears of the Kingdom. And it's been really compelling so far, and something where I typically just kind of blitz through any kind of bits of dialogue in a Warriors game. I really want to pay attention in this one because it has been an absolutely fascinating story to see unfold. Jury is still out on how great the game is because, like I said, I haven't played a ton of time into it yet, but it's something that I enjoy it a lot more than I would have anticipated, and I'm glad I picked it up. All right, I am a big fan of the Trails series from NIS, and I picked up the latest on the Nintendo Switch 2, and this is, I gotta make sure I get the title right, this is Legend of Heroes: Trails Beyond the Horizon. I love this franchise. It was something that I never played on the Vita when it originally released. I was not a Vita owner at the time, and not something that I was really kind of tuned in on. I didn't know a lot about the library, so I completely missed this franchise when it originally launched on the Vita. And it was something where when I picked up Trails of Cold Steel 3 on the original Switch, I picked it up honestly because it looked like it had a bunch of cool feely stuff in it. And that was kind of my thing for a while on the original Switch, was buying collector's editions of games that had neat feelies. And what I got was a game that was really compelling and told a fascinating story with some really interesting characters. And I played every game in the series since. And this is one that continues this huge spanning story arc of these amazing characters, and well designed with fun combat, like really interesting combat for an RPG that blended action combat and RPG turn-based combat into something really compelling. Like, positioning mattered, and your team ups and effects where one person impacted another one was something that was just, man, it was right up my alley, and I loved it, and I still do, and I am so happy that this one exists. And as always with everything NIS America, they put out deluxe editions, and the deluxe edition on this one, a little bit weak, I'm not gonna lie, but I'm sure there's probably some kind of crazy collector's edition over in Japan I'm not familiar with. But one of the things that I love that they do is that they put out, and I think every single one, a booklet, and the booklet contains backstory for each character. So if this is where you're jumping in, you have information about the characters rather than going in blind. And I think that is something that most companies could learn from, especially ones that are putting out franchise games like the Legends of Heroes series or the Trails series. It's just, they're so good. It's so much fun. And it's just solid combat across the board. Like, they don't do anything wrong as far as I'm concerned. Like, menu systems may be a little bit clunky, and sometimes the world traversal in the towns can be a little bit iffy, but Storyline, gameplay, character-wise, look, sound, voice acting, home run. All right, another one I thought I was going to like a lot more than I do. And it's something where you will notice a lot of my favorite games are single player experiences. And I think that is why this one isn't connecting for me, because it has such a heavy online component and kind of online focus. And that would be Mario Kart World. I loved Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. I legitimately think it is the best Mario Kart game other than Mario Kart DS ever released. I think it does so much so well, and I really expected a lot from Mario Kart World, and I just don't get it. I don't know. It's not the racing to a track in between levels. Like, I wish it was traditional Mario Kart in that regard. Like, I wish it was 3 laps at every circuit and you just move on from there, but you don't get that with this one. And I think there's just, it's just missing like a certain bit of soul that the Mario Kart 8 game had. And that's a little disappointing. I don't know. I still think it's fantastic. Like, it's still a wonderful title, but I don't know. It just doesn't grab me like 8 Deluxe did or DS did. I want to like it more than I do, but I don't. Don't know. Don't know what to say. And I think that's for a lot of people, actually. Like, I know a lot of people are kind of just like the shine wore off on it real fast. And I think that's really what it was for me. It was like, it was such a great idea to launch the console with Mario Kart World, but it just didn't have the polish necessary to make it something that made it a must-play game. It's just how I feel about it. All right, hey, real quick before we carry on to the second half here, I put a post out on social media a few days ago about how I'm taking a break. I want to specifically say I'm not taking a break from YouTube. I like making videos far too much. I am just at a point right now with social media where I am finding it to be incredibly overwhelming. And as someone who deals with a lot of anxiety, having notifications go off constantly really pings my anxiety. I described it to my wife as if you've ever seen a scene in a movie where they're describing someone getting overwhelmed in a workspace, where they're just hearing a lot of people talking and phones ringing, and it's just, you feel kind of that sound pressure closing in on you. That's where I get with notifications for social media. So I needed to step back. My anxiety is something I fight with constantly. My mental health is something that I need to put ahead of any kind of social interactions that I have with social media, because social media isn't real. At the end of the day, it really isn't. And one of the biggest issues I have is that my particular anxiety stems from social anxiety. And I work from home. I create content from home. I'm a homebody. So that is spiked considerably when my anxiety kicks off. There is a strong desire to not go out and not do anything. And my escape from that for a long time was social media, which is an unhealthy escape. That's like it's like being an alcoholic and going on a brewery tour. It's a really bad idea. It's not real. It is just a quick hit of something you think you need and you don't. So one of the side effects of it is I tend to allow myself to be very approachable on social media, or I try to make myself be very approachable on social media, and I fear that has led to some parasocial relationships where people are being a little bit too expectant of me and my time, and I can't do that. It's not healthy for me. It's not healthy for my family. And it's something where I need to separate the real world Jay from Square Pegs Jay, and I need to put a firm dividing line there. Regardless, needless to say, this is not a situation where the YouTube channel is getting canceled. Quite the contrary. This is my creative outlet. This is something that gives me significantly more joy than I ever thought it was going to. It is something where I look at it as an opportunity to create a career long term. I would love to turn this into an ability to be a video editor and to just continue to work on videos for people moving forward, because it is legitimately something that brings me great joy and something that sparks my creative life and makes me happy. But I have to do that at the protection of my sanity and the protection of my mental health. And so we'll still have my social media channels. I will still be on them from time to time. But it will not be all-encompassing as it has been. I have deleted all social media off of my phone, with the only exception being Facebook Messenger, because that is how I keep in touch with some of my family. But for the most part, my social media is going to be kind of set to the hours of like 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. every day. And that's going to be it, because I don't have the mental capacity to be able to do that all the time like I have been. So please understand. This is very much, it's not you, it's me thing. I need to take care of myself, and I need to make sure that that my brain is in a spot where I am able to continue to be happy and healthy. And right now I'm not healthy, and I'm not terribly happy. So, but we'll get back there. We'll get there. Like I said, creating videos gives me joy, gives me a sense of accomplishment, a sense of creativity that I don't get elsewhere in my life. So this is where that'll live. So feel free to talk on here, comment, stuff like that. I will happily talk to you on that. But please understand, if you message me on social media and I don't respond, that's just how it's going to be for now. And that's just how it is. So thank you all for your understanding. I really do appreciate it. And like I said, I'll be around, still be making videos, just going to be a little bit more limited in my interactions on things like Facebook and Twitter and stuff like that. So now back to the 20 video games that you're all here for anyway. So love y'all. Thank you. Next, one I'm taking a chance on because I honestly, I haven't really played the other 3 games in the series, and I've played one a bit, and I played it more on the original Switch than I did when it originally released on the GameCube, but I've never really put a ton of time into it. And that's not because they're not good. It's just because I don't typically get into first-person shooters, and I don't know. Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, Switch 2 Edition, not really grabbing me. Like, it's fine, but that's all it is it's fine. It's not jaw-droppingly amazing like something like Super Metroid or Metroid Dread or Samus Returns was on the 3DS. It's just fine. And sometimes that's okay. Like, you don't really need a game to be this insane blockbuster to be a success. And I'm sure it's selling well. I'm sure it's doing great. It's just not for me. And I don't know. It's not bad. It's just not a game that was really made for me to enjoy. And I think if they ever released the 2 and 3 remasters that have been rumored now for the Switch for like 5 years, I will probably sit down and play the entire franchise and go through it. But I don't know. Just it just doesn't click for me, and I don't know why. Like I think I need to force myself to really sit down with the first one and kind of understand what they're going for before I can really move forward to the rest of the series, I guess. I don't know. This is one that is interestingly not a franchise I care for, if that makes sense. And I'm probably going to offend some of my friends because I know some folks that have worked on it. But it's never been a franchise I really care for. I was always a Street Fighter guy. I was always a King of Fighters guy. So Mortal Kombat was never something that I really felt the need to get into. But I picked up Mortal Kombat 11. I enjoyed it. Thought it was good. I picked up Mortal Kombat 1. Really enjoyed that because it kind of reset everything and kind of turned the entire franchise on its head. So my buddy Eric mentioned that he wanted to pick this up, and I wasn't really looking forward to it when it got announced, and I wasn't going to pull the trigger on it, but eventually I did pick up the Mortal Kombat Legacy Collection. Now, I pick it up because Digital Eclipse worked on it, first off, and they put out some of the absolute best collections out there with like just a compelling history for each game and kind of a background on each title and information on each game. And I found that really fascinating to be able to watch all these videos and see kind of like the history of where Mortal Kombat came from. And one of the things that I really liked about it was there's a training mode, and you're able to learn a little bit, and you're able to figure out how to pull off combos and moves and stuff like that, because that was my biggest problem with the game growing up, is I never got an instruction manual with it when I rented it, so I didn't know how the hell to do anything. So I was just kind of stand around and do a slap fight with Sub-Zero, and that wasn't really fun. It wasn't compelling to me. But I've actually really enjoyed this. Now, there's some terrible games on here, but there's also some really quality ones. And I think it's a really cool collector's edition. I think there's some really neat stuff in here. And it's given me a sincere appreciation for the history of Mortal Kombat, kind of like the Atari 50 games did for me to kind of go from someone that wasn't interested in anything 2600 to developing this interest in the console some 45 years after it originally released. So excited to play more of this and excited to get more into the games and to try them out a little bit more. And it's kind of cool to see an awesome collector's edition like this. Oh yeah, this was one I did not expect. I knew this was coming out, but knowing that the game's background is based on a mobile title, I didn't have any expectations for this at all. But Octopath Traveler 0 is my favorite Octopath Traveler game so far. And it all comes from the fact that you are able to create your own character in this one, rather than relying on a pre-administered, pre-created character that you don't really have a connection to. Like in the other games, you had a series of characters that were already created in a particular archetype that you were working off of or recruiting at a particular time. And they were memorable and they were interesting, but to be able to create your own character and actually play that character and move forward as that character, that sealed the deal. And I love the original two Octopaths, but Octopath 0 is so much better. The story's more mature. It's a little bit darker. It's a little bit more grown up than the other Octopath games. And the gameplay is fantastic. I am so impressed with this title, and I cannot wait to keep playing it because there's just so much going on for it that is just like incredibly positive. One of my favorite games of 2025, without a doubt. Next up, a game from Namco Bandai, and yep, that's the correct name. And this is one that I was really excited because they did a remaster of the first game of the franchise on the original Switch. Was hoping they were going to do this on the Switch too because I am a big fan of this game. It's my favorite from the original franchise. This is Pac-Man World Repack 2. Pac-Man World Repack 2. And this is another game keycard. And this is one, I posted about it, and someone left a really nasty comment on something, asking why I would waste money on a game keycard. And it's because it's my money. It's not a waste of money if it makes me happy. And that's kind of where my whole attitude is with game keycards. If it's a terrible game, and I spent money on it, I don't care if it's a full game on a disc or a game keycard. It's a terrible game. That's a waste of money. If it's one that I like, it's not. It makes me happy. Love this game, though. Classic 3D platformer collectathon action. You play as Pac-Man. Bunch of different costumes you're able to unlock. Bunch of different arcade games you're able to unlock and put into Pac-Land to actually like revisit your village and be able to play as them or play those games. It's just clever. It's well created. It's well made, and it's just awesome to have on the Switch too. Love it portably. Love being able to play it handheld. It's great to sit in bed and play. It's just a lot of fun, and I think that is, at the end of the day, that's your metric for success. Is the game fun? Yes. Great. You've done something right. All right, here's one that we picked up for our kid. Victor wanted this game, and it's not something that I've spent a ton of time with. But being a fan of the games it was based off of, I was interested in trying it out, and this is Pokemon Legends ZA. And I mean, it's another Pokemon game. Like that's really all you need to know. Is it good? Sure. If you're into Pokemon, it's great. The gameplay is interesting. The capture mechanics are good. I was more interested in the Legends game on the original Switch just because I kind of like the time travel mechanic to it of going back into ancient times. This one's just kind of set modern. And that's less compelling than being in the past, I guess. But the gameplay is good, and it looks really nice. Like, I think this is probably the best looking Pokemon game they've ever made, although the announced trailer for Winds and Waves for Gen 10 that comes out next year looks fantastic. I'm really interested in that one. But it's a cool game. Cool concept for a game, at the very least. There's some really interesting traversal, like you're able to climb up ladders and go on top of buildings and stuff like that, which I don't think is something you've ever really been able to do in a Pokemon game before. So neat to see this. I like the Legends concept of having these weird little spin-offs that are kind of experiments for Game Freak to try something new, and I think it's a success so far. All right, this one, the jury is out on this one because I have only played the footage you have seen on this game. This is one I picked up at the same time I picked up Mortal Kombat and a couple others as well, and they just kind of moved ahead on the line here. And this is, again, kind of like the Legend of Heroes game. I need to make sure I'm reading this correctly. Raidu Remastered, The Mystery of the Soulless Army. This is an Atlas game. I think this is a Shin Megami Tensei spin-off. I mean, you're called a Devil Summoner, so I'm assuming it is. And what I've played so far is really interesting. But like most Persona or Shin Megami Tensei games, for me, they're just slow burns. And it's something I need to sit down and spend a lot of time with for me to kind of have that aha moment. Like for Persona 5, it took me probably 10 hours for me to go, oh, there it is. Okay, now I get it. This one hasn't really hooked me yet. I do like that it seems to have a sense of humor. I think that's pretty cool. I like that the different demons have a personality. I think that's neat. And I like your character's design. I like that you're a detective. I think that's pretty cool. I'm definitely going to spend more time with it. I'm just not there yet. But it's good so far. It's an Atlas game. Of course, it's well made. It's going to take a minute for it to grab me. And when it does, then it'll be the only thing I play for 6 months. Oh, I love this game. And I know a lot of people don't. Based on how it originally performed when it released. And it's a shame because Ubisoft has done so much to make this game so good. I'm a huge Star Wars fan, and when Star Wars Outlaws originally released on the Xbox Series, I was all over it, and I thought it was great, but deeply flawed. There was a lot of problems with it, a lot of gameplay issues, and when they announced the Gold Edition on the Switch 2, I was intrigued but cautiously optimistic. But it was one that at launch I knew I wanted to have, so I picked this up during the launch window, and I got to be honest with you, I think this is the best version of the game out there. I really do. I think it is incredible looking. The performance is fantastic. The gameplay is wonderful. And it feels like it was made for the Switch 2 controller in mind. Like, even over the PlayStation 5 or the Xbox Series controller, this feels so good on the Switch 2 controller, the Pro controller specifically, that I feel like it was like designed from jump for the Switch 2 and ported to those other consoles. The storyline is incredibly compelling. I really like the character arcs in the game. I like the nods to the over, kind of the huge history and the huge universe of Star Wars. And there's something here, if you're a Star Wars fan, for you to enjoy. I love it. I think it might be something I enjoy more than the Jedi Survivor and Jedi Outcast games. Jedi Fallen Order and Jedi Survivor, not Jedi Outcast. That's way back. I do think I like this game better than those, and I like Cal as a character. I think this one's a little bit more interesting and has some better gameplay experiences overall. All right, I think this might be my favorite game on the Switch too. Actually, what do I have left? Yeah, I think this is probably my favorite one. It's definitely the one that's gotten the most gameplay because it's something that I can throw in, spend 5 minutes on, and have a blast with. It's probably the one that has been in the most constant rotation for me, and that is Street Fighter 6. Oh, such a good version of the title. I love it. Control's great. If you are just here for arcade mode and that's what you're going to be playing, you are going to have an absolute blast. Online, I understand, can be a little bit iffy. But for me, since I don't really play online, it's wonderful. Great character designs, great performance, great looking game, great sounding game. Like, it's classic Street Fighter, and it is something that I didn't know how much I needed until I got it. And I have Street Fighter 6 on the Xbox Series as well, but I prefer it on the Switch 2 just because of not only the ability to play it in handheld, but also on the TV. And what I'm able to see on the TV and in handheld looks fantastic. Absolutely love it. Just a wonderful, wonderful game from Capcom, and I love their support of the Switch 2 so far. All right, next up, one of the games from the Yakuza series, and I need to pick up some of the other ones that have released, and I didn't realize they were out until I was at GameStop a couple of weeks ago. I thought they were coming out later this year. But this is Yakuza 0 Director's Cut. I came to this franchise late. I had played the original on the PlayStation 2, but that was the only one I had ever played. I kind of forgot that it existed. And to see so many of them come out recently, I really want to get them on the Switch 2. I really want to get that entire collection as much as I'm able to on the Switch 2, so I can just play them and have them available to me. And I have had so much fun playing this game. If you haven't played it, it is an RPG beat 'em up. I think that's probably the best way to describe it. And it's something where your character is part of the Yakuza, and there's more to the story. I'm trying to be as basic as possible because if you've never played it, I really don't want to spoil anything. But the gameplay is where it's going to hook you, and the storyline is fantastic. It is legitimately incredible. They're such fun games, and something that everyone owes it to themselves to play. They're just a magical experience from top to bottom with great memorable characters, great storylines, great combat. A little bit of early 90s or mid 90s jank as far as like the carryover effect from when the games originally released, but there's so much more positive to it than just that, because it's a living and breathing world that you're inhabiting, and I think that's really clever because there's so much that you're able to interact with. Just phenomenal. Number 20 is a fantastic remaster of a game that released on the PS4, Xbox One, and original Switch, and that is Yooka-Laylee. This is a remake of the original Yooka-Laylee, which I liked. And I think my initial review of this game says it best. I didn't see the need for a remake of Yooka-Laylee because I really liked the original. And then I got Replayly, and I went, oh, there it is. That's why. Okay. Quality of life improvements across the board, top to bottom. Like, the game is, while it is familiar if you have played it, there is so much more done in this game that improves it over the original that you will not be disappointed if you pick this one up as well. The characters of Yuka and Laylee are memorable and funny, and they feel like classic Rare characters come to life, which you would hope for from the Platonic team. I just adore it. I love 3D platformers. I love 3D platformers that are sassy and funny, and Yuka Replayly has that in spades. It is absolutely wonderful. Just a fantastic game, and something that I couldn't see having this collection without owning that game, because I loved the original so much, and I was never able to get a physical version of it on the original Switch. So to have this now physically on the Switch 2 kind of makes up for that, and makes me very happy. The first 20, how the collection starts, the first 20 games in my Switch 2 collection. I've got digital games as well, but these are the first physical games I have. Let me know in the comments down below, what games have I not picked up that you think I should have in my Switch 2 collection? Which ones do I have that you're going, no, that game's terrible, that shouldn't be there? I'd love to hear from you. Let me know. The only thing I ask, just keep it respectful. Like I said, I don't care about game key cards. They don't bother me. So if there's a game that you think I should pick up as on a game key card, don't be afraid to suggest it, because it doesn't bother me if it is. If you enjoyed today's video, give it a big thumbs up. Engagement helps the channel out. If you really enjoyed it, consider subscribing. We are on our way to 20,000 subscribers. I'd love to have you be here for that. So until next time, folks, remember to play more games, stay square, and take care. I'll talk to you soon.